involved medical institution on abortion globally, and their practices that are involved with fetal tissue experimentation result in likely born alive infants here sent to research labs, and live dismemberments here in our own community. So we are here to call upon the Chancellor and the Board of Regents to end the practice of live dismemberment here at UCSF and to hold them accountable for the crimes that they've committed against humanity in the name of medical research.
Okay.
All right, here I go.
Very good.
Go.
All right, let's start the protest. I'm going to turn the camera around.
Hey everybody! Thank you for being here today. We are San Francisco, and as much as we're often told that we don't exist, we actually do. We come from across the political and religious spectrum. My name's Teresa Bukovanak. I'm the founder and executive director of Pro-Life San Francisco. I'm also an atheist. I'm a registered Democrat. I identify as a liberal and a feminist. So I'm here to tell you guys that it doesn't matter what your background is. We can all unite together to end some of the most horrific crimes against humanity in our own backyard. We are gathered here today at the campus of UCSF at Mission Bay to send a clear message to the Board of Regents, Chancellor Sam Hawgood, and OBGYN Department Chair Amy Murtha. We want to send them a message that pro-life and pro-choice people agree that live dismemberment for medical research must end. For at least the past 6 years, a contract between the National Institutes of Health and the University of California, San Francisco has been a real-life American horror story. This contract, this one contract alone, required UCSF to produce 2 pristine, healthy, preborn babies per month from elective abortion procedures. All fetuses between the ages of 18 and 24 weeks, meaning many would be able to survive if born prematurely. The fetuses were then transported to labs where organs were harvested and implanted into innocent mice in order to create a humanized immune system. These babies actually cannot be killed before the abortion procedure because digoxin, the poison that would cause fetal demise, cannot be used on infants or fetuses meant for medical research. It would destroy the quality of the tissue. So that means that there are only 2 ways that UCSF is obtaining this tissue: live dismemberments or born alive infants induced through a medical induction. A researcher and NIH grantee, Dr. Gerlach, has developed and published a stomach churning technique to harvest fresh, pristine livers from intact babies delivered alive in late-term abortions at a gestational age of 18 to 22 weeks. UCSF is the abortion training capital of the U.S. The Ryan Residency, operated by the Bixby Center at UCSF, is the top abortion training program in the country. And their global outreach through their program, Answer, makes them the most politically involved medical institution on this issue worldwide. Dr. Eleanor Dry, the division chief at General Hospital, Monica McElmore, professor and clinician scientist at Answer, and Daniel Grossman, the director of Answer, have been training and performing elective late-term abortions here for years. Ironically, they also advocate for the care of premature newborns should they be lucky enough to be wanted. Their focus on abortion has led down a dark road of fetal experimentation. Abortion at this late stage of development has nothing to do with bodily rights, as the autonomy of the pregnant person can be restored without killing. This summer, the HHS has ended the contract between the NIH and UCSF. But the private funding will continue. UCSF has openly stated their hostility to any restrictions on fetal tissue research, and they have demonstrated their commitment to bypassing the law when it comes to abortion restrictions. Americans are more unified than ever in their opposition to late-term abortion, including a majority of Democrats and millennials. Our community and our nation must see that to end elective late-term abortion, we have to end the UCSF regime. We must ensure the medical community is educated on ethical solutions, because UCSF cannot be counted on to be progressive on this issue. Social justice movements of the past have taught us that nonviolent direct action is the best and most effective way to confront an oppressive system. And we will not be silent until these horrors end and those that have committed these acts are held accountable for their vicious, callous violations of the most fundamental right to not be unjustly killed. Thank you, guys. Again, I really, really appreciate that you have taken time out of your schedules to come here today. This is very, very important. This is something that the vast majority of Americans don't want to see happening in our nation. And I'm so grateful that all of you are willing to stand up against this oppressive regime with me. We have a few other speakers today that I want you to hear from before we go and address the Chancellor directly closer to his office around the corner. But next, I would like to bring up the president of an organization called Let Them Live. They are doing amazing work all over the nation, and they have come here today to speak on this very important issue. Please welcome Emily Burney.
Wow, thanks guys. Thank you, Teresa, for putting this event on. Teresa's just amazing, and the presence that she and Pro-Life San Francisco have here is so crucial and so critical. San Francisco is not a very friendly place for people like us, and this is so important. So thank you for everything that you do for standing strong. As Teresa said, my name is Emily. I'm the president of Let Them Live, and I'm here today standing against UCSF and their gruesome practices of dismemberment abortions in order to harvest organs for medical. The backlash and consequences of their actions. I call on UCSF to be more innovative, to practice better medical ethics. I call on them to stop dismembering and harvesting baby organs and parts. They are undeniably violating the most basic human right to life and disgracing the victims that they are sacrificing. As Warren Hearn, a late-term abortionist in Boulder, has said, we reach a point in this particular technology where there is no possibility of denial of an act of destruction by the operator. It is before one's own eyes. The sensations of dismemberment flow through the forceps like an electric current. UCSF and the rest of the abortion industry are not ignorant to what they are doing. They know they are sacrificing innocent lives, but still, they refuse to have mercy on the weakest and most vulnerable human beings in our society. Abortion is the greatest injustice in human history, but people are waking up. The movement all across the country and in San Francisco is growing. Thank you to Teresa and the Pro-Life San Francisco group for fighting so diligently for the most innocent human beings. They will always have the support of Let Them Live and the rest of the pro-life community. Thank you.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, UCSF has got to go.
Hey, ho, ho, UCSF has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, UCSF has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, UCSF has got to go.
Yeah, all right. Get those voices ready, because we are going over to the Chancellor's office in just a little bit, and we are going to let him hear it, okay? So you get your activist voice out immediately. Next, we are going to hear from the phenomenal Mary Lee Schreider. She has been spending a ton of time at the state capitol fighting the tyrannical SB 24, the abortion pill campus bill. And she has got some things to say about UCSF too, believe it or not.
Well, actually, I'm not going to talk about UCSF today because I'm going to talk about one of the things that I think got us to this point today. And before I do that, I want to just tell all you secular, atheist, pro-life activists today, thank you. We love you. You bring an amazing voice to the table, one that cannot be ignored. You are invaluable. And so it's a privilege to be in this fight with you. But what I wanted to say today is that the faith leaders, though, the faith leaders in this state, too many of them have been silent for too long. They've been absent from the fight, and I'm compelled to address that today. You know, I was recently included in Bakersfield in a pro-life roundtable that included pro-life advocates like us, a couple of pregnancy centers, and there were two pastors from one of our largest local churches. And quite frankly, they both looked a little bit ill at ease, as if they had somehow stumbled into the wrong meeting. And not long into the proceedings, they said as much. And the senior of the two and follow up on all that in Sacramento, but we're so outnumbered up there, we just thought, why bother? I think it was that that really got to me. And I'm not often at a loss for words, but that one really stupefied me. And I have thought about that, a lot about that since. In fact, I've thought about it every day since, and it was about a month ago. And I'm trying to come to terms with such open apathy from a faith leader who not only believes himself and identifies himself as pro-life, he thinks he's ardently pro-life. So I'm going to respond to that pastor very soon, and I'm going to tell him with all the tact and compassion I can muster why we not only why we should bother, but why we must bother. As you all know, Christian churches of all denominations train and send missionaries to all four corners of the globe in obedience to Jesus' command to go therefore and make disciples of all nations. We are commanded to do that. And often that demands great sacrifice of those who carry the message. But would their pastors tell them, why bother? The heathens aren't cooperating. Why bother? Yeah, I don't think that would happen. Souls, we're all about saving, but newborn babies, not so much, apparently. Well, let me tell you, we bother for a number of reasons. We bother for one reason because we have a message worth stating over and again that abortion is against the law of God, against the law of nature, and against reason. That's the first reason. That's the first why we bother. And what is it that's keeping so many of our faith leaders from the battle? One pastor I know said it all to me recently. He said, nickels and noses. It's about nickels and noses. The money in the collection plate and the hinders in the seats. I hope he's wrong, but I don't think he is. Is it the state of California itself that these pastors fear? When the church calls on a state to prohibit abortion, the church is simply asking the state to be the state. As R.C. Sproul wrote, if it is the role of the state to protect, sustain, and maintain human life, which it is, we bother because of this, because of what's going on right on this campus. And how long has it been since we stopped bothering, and now look what's happened. Look where we are right now. We bother mostly because our silence equals surrender. It gives them permission to do that. Ambrose of Milan once said, "Not for every idle word, but for every idle silence must man render an account." Every one of us will have to do that. Pastor, I will say, if you care at all about the slaughter of the innocents, then for God's sake, speak up. Yours is only one voice, but it's a voice. So use it. And that's what I'm going to tell them. Thank you very much.
All right. Oh, yeah. Live dismemberment must end.
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 All right. I'm getting into it now. We're getting ready. All right. We have another speaker. We actually have a couple more. But next is Nick. He is the new regional coordinator for Students for Life of America for Northern California. We are so lucky to have him. He has been working so hard, also fighting the campus abortion pill bill here in California. And we are pleased to have him here today to speak out against the horrible practices here at UCSF and American Horror Story.
Thanks, Teresa. Good morning, San Francisco.
Morning!
San Francisco has a great legacy of standing up for freedom of speech, peace, and equality, and this rally is just a continuation of that great history. And pro-lifers in San Francisco face a very difficult situation. We face the violence at UCSF, but oftentimes we face the violence in the street. And the violence is defended by further violence, but we answer that by defending peace with peace. And San Francisco has to decide what side they're on, what city they want to be. Do they want to side with people that would defend violence with violence or peace with peace? Do they want people to advocate more speech or less? Do they want a system that expands equality or restricts it? And that's the choice. What do you want to be, San Francisco? UCSF is the nation's capital of late-term abortion training. And it's not a capital that any San Franciscan should be proud of. It is a capital of capital punishment. And that moniker is worse because the sentences carried out by those physicians trained there are not against the hardest and most guilty. They're against the softest and most innocent. And it's all done under the pretense of medical research. Martin Luther King said that you can't drive out hate with hate, only love can do that. Well, you can't drive out death with more death, only life can do that. Thank you. But in that spirit, we know that in their inhumanity, they inadvertently address the humanity of the unborn. Because in using their human tissue to supposedly help our human case, they show the equal humanness of the unborn. Yeah. And they show that they have an equal right to humanity and to be in the brother and the sisterhood of mankind. And let us rejoice in knowing that we know that truth. And as San Franciscans and Californians, let us stand tall and walk proudly in that belief, because we know, as John F. Kennedy said, we don't do this because it's easy, we do this because it's hard. And we know that Martin Luther King did his greatest work in the toughest places. It's letters from Birmingham, not letters from Boston or letters from Baltimore. And I'm proud to be in San Francisco in one of the toughest places because we know that the highest mountains have the best views. And we know that the sickest patients are the most in need of care, and the most unwell communities are in the most need of love and compassion. So thank you so much for being here, showing that love and compassion. Without your love and compassion, we cannot succeed. And with your love and compassion, we cannot fail. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming out.
Hey, hey!
any worse. And I want to say this. I looked up, again, those atrocities, and one of the things that came up was the Nuremberg Medical Code. After the Nuremberg trials, where they tried the Nazi doctors, they put together a list of 10 items that should be necessary before we even talk about human participation and experimentation. And the number one, the very first thing they say is the voluntary cooperation of the human being involved. The human being involved in this experimentation is the child, not the mother, not anybody else. Otherwise, they can take the mother's liver. Okay, they're not taking the mother's liver, they're taking a baby's liver. And so therefore, they are violating the very first code of the Nuremberg trials. We are called the survivors of the abortion Holocaust. If anybody thinks that what is going on in our nation is not a Holocaust, they are just sadly mistaken. Teresa, the survivors of the abortion Holocaust, as the director, I want to tell you, I think in life there are battle lines that have to be drawn. Battle lines that if you can't hold, you can't win. Okay? There comes a point when there's only one hill left. We are talking about babies removed, alive, and their livers, their body parts taken from them while they're alive. Survivors of the abortion Holocaust, this is our hill. We're going to fight and die on this hill. Okay? This has got to end. Okay? I'm going to call on young people to come here to San Francisco, which is like funny in itself for a whole different reason, but to come here because they need to. This school needs to have no rest. Every student walking through this campus needs to be challenged. Where do you stand? What is your position? Do you support the school and what it's doing? This school, every day of the week, needs to have pro-lifers on this campus confronting it and exposing this evil on an ongoing basis and give them no peace. I don't know how it's going to happen because we're broke, you're broke, everybody's broke, okay? But I'll tell you what, there comes a point where you have to say this is important enough and we're going to make it happen somehow. And I think that starts today. And I don't think that we rest until this battle is won. And by the way, one of the things that I think we need to do, we need to raise the stakes for those involved. We need the chancellor, the doctors, everybody involved. We need to be calling for them to be jailed, to be tried. They are no less criminals than any of the Nazis in Nazi Germany. We need to raise the stakes. We need to say, put them in jail. Not stop, put them in jail, because that's where they belong. Yeah. Okay? So, I don't know where we go, how we go. I'm going to be talking with Teresa and others today, but I believe we must go forward and that this is the hill to take the fight to and to win and drive this back to hell where it came from, even if you don't believe in it.
Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, the time has come, you guys. We are going to walk together around into the courtyard. I want to say once again, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this very important historic action that will hopefully be the beginning of a long campaign against them that shuts this down and eventually does bring justice about here in our community for those who have been so severely victimized by this. So I'm going to let Herb take it away, and I'm going to, if anybody has stuff up here they need to grab, come up and grab it now, and then we're all going to walk through the grass just over to the sidewalk, and we will lead the way after that. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, are we ready to march? Yeah, we're ready. Live dismemberment must end. Live dismemberment must end. Live dismemberment dismemberment must end.
Live dismemberment must end.
Live dismemberment must end.
Live dismemberment.
Equality.
P-R-O-L-I-F-E. We demand equality.
P-R-O-F-I-L-E. We demand equality.
P-R-O-L-I-F-E. We demand equality.
Live dismemberment must end.
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 Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
P-R-O-L-I-F-E, we demand equality.
P-R-O-L-I-F-E, we demand equality.
P-R-O-L-I-F-E, we demand equality.
P-R-O-L-I-F-E, we demand equality.
Hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Live dismemberment must end.
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 What do we want? Justice.
What do we want? Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Live dismemberment must end.
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 Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go.
Live dismemberment must end.
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 Hey, hey, ho, ho, Amy Mandel's got to go.
Ho, ho,
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go.
Cancer Hogan's got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, dismemberment has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Cancer Hogan's got to go.
ho, ho. Cancer hog has got to go.
Do no harm. Do no harm. Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Do discrimination.
Abortion is 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 discrimination.
Hey guys, again, this is Brian Kemper, a priest for life and Stand True Pro-Life Outreach. We're about to end our live broadcast. We're here at the University of San Francisco campus. The protest that's going on that you've been watching. The University of San Francisco is the top trainer in late-term abortions, but they're also using dismemberment, live dismemberment abortion. Actually, babies being born alive and then dismembered. Absolutely disgusting practice, and that's why we're here protesting. I'll be doing more live tomorrow. Myself and Father Frank will be speaking at the pro-life conference at Berkeley tomorrow. But I'm going to go ahead and join back in with the protest. Thank you for watching this. Make sure you share this with your friends. We need to stand up. We need to end child killing. We need to end this now. There's no excuse for anyone being silent when this is going on in our country and in our world. So again, Brian Kemper, Priest for Life, Stand True. Have a great day, and we'll be more live tomorrow.